Well, let's just stay with the cost of living crisis for now. New research suggests it is the #1 concern for young Londoners. A study by the Co-op says almost half of 10 to 25-year-olds in the capital rate financial pressure as the top challenge they'll face this year. Many also fearing they'll be forced out of the capital because of the squeeze. Well, earlier, James Dickman spoke to Kayleigh Wainwright from the charity UK Youth.
The research that was undertaken by the Co-op was to really look at what are young people saying, what are their biggest concerns and their worries, and it showed that the biggest worry for 10-year-olds right now is the cost of living crisis. So I think we all need to be asking ourselves the question: is that okay? Are we happy for that? Are we happy about that? Should we be worried that 10-year-olds are worrying about this? It's a lot for them to have on their shoulders, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that children are showing up in the survey as worrying about this, we often want to protect them from the harsh realities of life. But when something like this, that is usually for parents to concern about, for adults to worry about, is seeping through to young people, particularly children, as I say, that's kind of an indication of just how bad things might be, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me there's two things that really stand out. I think firstly, you know, when I think back to being 10, I heard the news, I heard information from my parents, from the 6 o'clock news that was on in the background, and I think now it's just everywhere. And so I think there is something about access to information that we can't protect children and young people from anymore because of digital and media. So I think there's something about how do we enable them to have the critical thinking skills and the confidence to navigate through that. And I think the second thing is for a lot of young people, this is the reality that they're living in. They're seeing their parents who are maybe struggling to put food on the tables, accessing food banks, worrying about the rising prices of energy bills. And after 2 years of being in a pandemic with COVID, they're looking at their future and thinking, what does this mean for me? And so we need to be giving them more access to opportunities to get out in their community, to have some fun, and then to really get them to think about how can they access jobs, what's out there for them, and what support is available for them to do that.
Yeah, touching on what you just mentioned there, is a lot of their anxiety, do you think, about this issue and why it's happening is because they can see in their local communities around the capital that things don't look like they could be that prosperous for them going forward?
Yeah, I think London's a really interesting place because, from other parts of the country, young people are moving here to do better and to get access to jobs. But, we know from street to street there can be really high levels of poverty alongside, lots of wealth and lots of opportunities for young people. And I think for some young people in particular who face quite a lot of inequality and discrimination because of, maybe the colour of their skin or where they go to school or just various factors, they're sat there thinking, how can I access this? And when you're in that cycle of poverty, it's very hard to kind of get out of that and to access the support that can help them to have those hopes and aspirations and the skills in order to move forwards.
Because there's also a worry, and it's come up in your statistics, about the fear of young people wanting to leave London because they don't feel that there's enough for them here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, young people have been hardest hit by COVID. They're thinking about saving money, and actually that isn't really an option actually for many young people now. And so they're looking at the prices of property. They're looking at what they might be able to earn, and it's just not stacking up. So they're looking at actually where do I need to move to in order to have some kind of sustainable lifestyle. So I think we need to really hear and listen to young people with this and think about what are the solutions that we can create with them to think about what are their options here. We need to create better pathways for young people in terms of jobs. We know through our work at UK Youth that if young people have better access to youth services and youth workers that can help them to navigate this, that can give them the opportunities to connect with their community as well and have that sense of belonging, that they're more likely to have better outcomes and therefore stay in their local community and lead the path for their future generations as well.
Yeah. So on that then, what would you like to see happen? What are the big things you'd like to see change, perhaps? And would you like to see more help from the government, perhaps giving you a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't think it's definitely down to like one organisation to fix this. We definitely need a better joined approach across government, business, education, youth services to create better pathways for young people. I think there needs to be more investment in youth services, particularly in youth workers and the projects that young people can get involved in. And we need to create the space for young people to be leading the conversations and coming into that with solutions. Often they have amazing ideas of what the future could look like, and the research showed that 3/4 of young people want to be making a difference. So how are we enabling that to happen? We need to give space to that and listen to young people.
Well, whilst children are worried about their finances, their parents are suffering from burnout because of the cost of living crisis and the impact of remote working. That is according to a study released today by an employment firm. It claims close to 60% of working parents have experienced increased levels of stress and frustration. Working from home said to play into all of this. Ashley Cranman is from Employment Hero, the firm behind the research, and is with us. Good to see you, Ashley. Let's talk a little bit more about this research then. What are parents who are working telling you?
From the research that we've gathered from our wellness report, we've kind of seen that there's 59